Good day, everyone. Today, we have a very special guest, Prableen Bajpai. She is the founder of FinFix Research and Analytics, a financial research and wealth management firm. She's a certified financial planner and holds a bachelor's and master's in economics from Panjab University. Prableen, welcome to my Fund Manager series.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Radhakrishnan.
Prableen, normally, I jump into, equities and stuff. So I want to keep this different. I want to know your background. I think you're one of the very few women in India who's into, a man-dominated or, world, if you want to call it, into financial planning. So I want to know, walk us through how you got interested in this and, a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I think it's pretty simple. So I grew up in a Fauji environment and a defense background because my dad was in the army. So typically you keep, changing the place where you live every 2 years. So I changed over 7 schools, been from Pune to Mizoram to Leh, spent 2.5 years in Leh during my schooling. It was a tremendous experience. And life, Radhakrishnan, in the army is very simple. And so you get a lot of exposure, yet you are not exposed to a lot of things. Let's say being in a bigger city like Bombay, we never got a chance. So I did my graduation in economics from Chandigarh, and then I did my master's and I got married. And I got married to, again, an army officer. So he's a doctor in the army, he's currently serving. So my journey with the black boxes, Fauji trunks, what they say, it continued. And it was after my marriage that I did my CFA from ICFAI, because at that time, this twin thing wasn't there. It was a common course. This was back in 2005. And we were in the outer skirts of Jammu, very small place called Brahmanadi Badi, Bidi Badi it's called. And my husband was the RMO then, which is, with the infantry unit. And I did my 2 years of studies because it was a distance learning course. I did my CFA and then luckily got a chance to be in Pune. And that's where I picked up my first job because my husband went to do his post-graduation and I picked up my first job in Pune. And that's how it started my career. It was not very well planned. Things kept happening. And my first job, I worked with them for 6 years, but not at Pune. After a year, my son was born. And then again, we moved out. We were in Chandi Mandir. And so back during the year, 2009, when nobody was probably doing work from home, I have lived and done work from home for a very long period of time, actually almost 4 or 5 years then, when we didn't even have WhatsApp. And so it's been a very interesting journey. Then went to Bhutan. I taught there for a year at the Royal Thimphu College. I was teaching investment analysis and macroeconomics. And I think after that, the big question mark was that what do I do next? Because my career till now was trying to balance and manage, my family life and yet being able to do justice to, probably the studies that I had done and justice to at least, try and make a career or just maintain a career. And I think while, this was about 2014 when we were going to come back from Bhutan and I wasn't sure where he was going to get posted. And that was the time that, I thought, let me do something of my own. So it was more out of not having enough opportunities because I didn't really know where to go, how to look for a new job. And I didn't want to be at a separate place, sort of, split the family. So I started with FinFix. And I started with it when I really didn't know what I was going to do under the umbrella.
I can so relate to your journey, because I've been an army brat myself. My dad was in the army, and every year it is a new
Wonderful.
Kendriya Vidyalaya school for me. So I've been lucky enough to be different parts of India. So yeah, I can totally relate to your journey,
Yeah,
and
वो
you're
theater में
continuing that
बैठ के,
journey.
you go to schools. So my schooling has been army schools and KVs. So it's a very different life, very protected, lovely exposure. Yet you're really away from a lot of things actually in life.
True. True, very true. I so relate to you, and you're continuing your quasi army life even
Yeah,
now. Great.
trying to balance.
Excellent, excellent. So you've been right from the beginning of, let's say, the official financial planning in India. In the West, it's a culture, right? It's a respected profession. People go there because of the consumerism and all that stuff. The saving culture is not there. They run into huge credit card debts, and financial planning is respected. Now let's come to India. Even now, they believe the LIC chacha more than you as a professional with a designation. So what's the kind of psyche of a typical Indian client of yours? Can you walk us through some of the challenges that you face?
So yeah, I think this is a newer segment in India, and majority of us, we invest. That kaha invest karna hai. It's not kyun invest karna hai or what is your ultimate objective. So over the years, I have seen that change from where people were not too involved with the question why are they investing to only where they are investing. And initially, my work has been more with financial research, and in the last, about 5-6 years, that I moved towards planning and advising and managing portfolio for my clients. And I think even in this time period, there has been a lot of change, because right from my first day of job, when it would be the returns and the product. Now it is more towards what is the goal and why are we investing. But having said that, I think even today there is a huge gap. There is a huge gap, and sometimes majority of us, I think, still just move ahead, taking the decision of where they're investing first and why is sort of still somewhere left behind. But with the newer generation, I think it's better. And even with people in the corporate, I think they understand that they don't have a pension like we have in the defense forces. And I keep telling my husband this thing, that this is such a valuable thing that you guys have, which so many people who are in the private sector really have to plan their expenses. They have to plan their investing, everything, so that that 30 years of their life, because RC, if you're working from 30 to 60, so let's say 60 to 85, 90, another 30 years probably you have to live off those savings that you've made over a period of time. So it's changing, but I think still there's a huge gap which is still existing, and it'll take time, especially in tier 2 cities. I think the awareness is more in tier 1 cities. So if I talk to my clients in Bombay and Bangalore, it's a little different as compared to, I think, smaller towns.
That's very, very insightful. So some of my friends actually, who have gone through this, financial planning exercise, either through an advisor or on their own, they say, "Are ye Excel dekh ke to I can't live also with what I'm having."
Yeah.
So that shock, how much you need to
Yeah.
save for the retirement. So how do you handle the psychological aspect, of a client who wants to spend on the latest iPhone, who wants to buy the next, best car? It's a hard, right? You're basically not just financial planning for him. You're actually trying to, he or she, you're actually trying to change their psychology towards money.
Yes.
Any insights on your struggles and how you're able to convince?
It's part like smart parenting also. So you don't let the kid know what you're doing. So for such clients where I know that they are saying that we'll do a SIP into equities, and I sort of know that maybe 6 months from now he or she will have a requirement and might want to redeem, I definitely start creating a buffer fund for them simultaneously. So let's say if somebody is investing 50,000 a month, for an example, SIP, I say, okay, 35 goes into equity, 15 goes into creating a buffer fund. And it's not the emergency fund. I just create this buffer, RC, which I feel, because we all love to spend, we all love to travel, we all want to buy an iPhone. So it's just that fun for your different, to indulge into spending. And I've seen a lot of them actually redeeming from there. And I am happy that they use it. But because of that little buffer, their long-term investing doesn't get disturbed. So I am okay to allocate a slightly smaller part towards equities, but whatever goes into equities has to be for the long term. And then you create a buffer. And yes, a lot of people do get that shock or want to be in denial that we tend to extrapolate our earning capacity, and we do not, I think that our expenses will rise that much as well. So there is a gap there as well. And to combat that, it's usually I move in smaller, let's say, one step at a time. Okay, get the person to get started. Then gradually, maybe 6 months, you make a little change, because it's not possible that anybody can make a lifestyle change that easily or that quickly. I don't think I can do that myself. And, especially in those early years, if you've got to, used to a certain lifestyle, it's not easy. And I think the overall objective has to be to have, let's say, comfort level for the investor, where you're not too burdened, or you're not worrying about your planning all the time, or am I saving enough? So that piece also has to be there, which we have to bring in, yet ensuring that they're able to meet their objectives. So it's like, so you do those tricks, what parents sometimes, not fool will be a very rude word to put in here, but yeah, little things, parents tend to do for your good without really mentioning it to you that this is being done.
Honestly, that's the best USP I've ever heard. Smart parenting. Give the kid enough. Don't reveal your whole plan, and motivate.
Yeah.
No, traditionally, let's stick to the India theme. Traditionally, it's like it's a paternal society, right? The man goes out, earns, the women save, and all that stuff. But of late, if you look at the younger generation, people are well educated, they have their own individual careers, dings as they call it, double income, yes. No kids.
No kid, yes.
Yeah, kal ho na ho, and they go like crazy, right? So with all the clients that you've interacted with, is there a sort of a age range where they realize I need to pull up my sock and come to you for advice?
Yeah, I have come across a couple of people where they are in their 40s now, and it's not that they have not been saving, but what they did, they channelized whatever they had earned towards different things. For example, I have somebody who created a very good corpus, but then allocated almost a huge amount of it towards funding his child's education abroad. So in your 40s, when you're doing that and you're spending, and you know how education abroad is. So if as an Indian parent, I want to send my child abroad, it's a 1 crore plus sort of expense for those 4 years. So allocating that to child's education. So good that the loan wasn't taken, but now that thing has put the person, in a very difficult spot when it comes to his retirement planning, with only 10 years to go for his retirement. So, I think we all make mistakes. Sometimes it's over allocation to real estate, because somewhere I think as Indians, we find a huge amount of comfort, and I think it's gives a bit of an ego boost as well, I feel, or a false sense of security that I have a lot of real estate, so my old age is taken care of. And I have increasingly come across cases where people have actually sold off their properties, and not really at a very appreciated price. Because see, as a let's say as a salaried person, if you're paying a loan and sort of making a second property and trying to generate passive income, it may or may not work. So it's worked for a lot of people, but this is another thing. And I guess again, cases like where people say, oh, I can't do this much SIP, and then they redeem, and then on Instagram or Facebook, because they're also connected with you there, you see that they're on a foreign trip. So I've seen, there were 2 examples of those kinds. So I feel then it's very hard, RC, to get those people, back on track. I don't know. Maybe, they would be going back to their parental properties, managing or working for extended years. I think that's how it would be managed. Because you can only, sort of guide to a certain extent. Beyond that, there has to be self-discipline, I think, which is very important. And indulgence is good, but that fine balance again is really crucial.
True, very true. No, the teacher appears whenever the student is ready, sort of. So the
Yeah.
student has to be ready for the
Ready,
teacher to help.
absolutely.
Interesting, you mentioned no, real estate and gold. So no, I come from down south in India. It's always gold or real estate, right? And you go meet anyone, almost 80 or 90% of their so-called wealth is in multiple apartments, land parcels, and tons of goals that they have put inside a bank locker and pay rent. They never use it, right? So I'm sure you have faced that issue. मैं in equity में क्यों invest करूं? And with all the bad news that floats around in newspaper, Sensex fell this much, Nifty fell this much. What are the steps that you have taken to make them realize? Are these do you show them numbers? Do you show them the returns? What sort of a convincing attitude you will have to bring in to the table, if you can explain?
Okay, so yeah, real estate and gold. RBI reports also mentions that 85% of the wealth is locked up in these hard assets. And as I mentioned, RC, that probably these are the two assets which okay, this is my house. You can touch it, you can see it, in gold again, and that too gold in physical form. Because gold has been so volatile. We've seen it go up like 30%, and the next year it is even down 18%, 9%. But probably with physical gold, all that doesn't appear. So these two are great investment options. But I think now what happens is, on my way, how I try is that, you have to first, for gold, try and get it or channelize it towards the financial thing, in the sense that gold in maybe online or a digital form, SGB or a gold mutual fund. At least that is one asset now you're creating for them, which they won't hesitate to sell. Because physical gold, it's seen as a lot of only in financial distress, a family would want to part away with physical gold. So I think for gold, I try and convince them if they can get it in, online or a paper format, basically. Real estate is very hard, but I think people are becoming increasingly aware. And the attitude also differs from, I think, family background. Businessmen would, they have a higher preference for real estate. I don't know whether I should say this, but I think depends on what sort of income you're getting. If you're getting totally white income, you are more inclined towards assets where it is more transparent. And real estate sometimes also is done because you sold off a big property, and because it's a division that you get this percent in this, and this is how you get. So you want to again reinvest that amount, which you cannot actually, because you're not looking to pay taxes and all. You sort of again go and buy real estate to sort of manage those that sort of money which had come in. So real estate from that part becomes tricky, because it's difficult to get all that money into the mainstream. But I think, the basics of asset allocation, you explain those. With equities, I try that I start with a small part, and then, once they have a little confidence and they've been through at least one down cycle, I think the attitude tremendously changes. So during 2020, the COVID time, people were really calling, and I think they were worried about what is happening with their money. But I think like the last 4, 5, 6 months, we've seen again, markets have not been great. But I think because they've seen that hard fall, they are better off. They're dealing with it better. And I have seen now people who were really panicking that time now call and say, oh, should we add some more because markets are down? So it's a very nice change. And I think it's like you learn by doing. So only when they start with little, they gradually are happy to allocate more towards equities.
Very insightful piece, especially on the real estate part. It never occurred to me that there is an aspect of white versus black over there for the investment.
Yeah, there is.
With the economy, going mainstream, I'm sure, the allocation towards, proper financial planning is going. Now let's changing gears a little bit, right? For our listeners, right? Yeah, I have wide source of money. I'm a salaried guy, or I make money, and I want to invest. Right? Are there any thumb rules that you have, so as to how much I should save and all that? Any thumb rules that probably people listening to this can follow immediately?
So let's say if somebody is earning 100 rupees, so I feel that probably your monthly expenses could somewhere be about, if you see a regular household would be about, let's say 50 rupees. So half goes into your basic expenses, living expenses. Debt should not be very, very high. So I would like to put it at about 25 to 30%. And this debt should not be for consumption. It should not be a personal loans. It should not be a credit card loans. It has to be more into productive things, like maybe buying a house. At least you get you're building an asset there. And then I would say, RC, that about 25 to 30%, that is the percentage that should definitely go into your savings. Now this rule, of course, will change depending on what background. A lot of people sometimes, even at a young age, have a lot of household responsibilities. There are some who really don't need to spend anything, because they're living with their parents and are from well-to-do families. So the percentage would change depending on the person's background. But broadly, I think this should be what can be followed. About half is going into your living expenses, and debt should not be very, very high.
Excellent point. Now, I believe you have an initiative to get more women into the financial planning process. I was reading up your profile. Kindly explain to us what that initiative is.
So it is. I think you would agree that men probably sitting at a bar, in the office, anywhere, would talk about politics, would talk about cricket, and probably stock markets or money. They would discuss finances. As a lady, I can say I have never discussed finances with any of my girl friends, like in a group. If girls are sitting, do they talk about money? I don't think they do. We'll talk about our kids. We'll talk about families, sometimes bitch about some relatives as well, here and there. You talk about clothes, you talk about travel, we talk about work-life balance, challenges of a working woman. But I don't think that we discuss finances. And that is the change that, I am looking to make.
I think you also talk about your husbands, right? You criticize them. You missed that point.
Well, I'm not going to say anything on record here. But yeah, we comfort each other, let's say, by giving a patient hearing. So I think, so one aspect totally which is missing is finances. No discussion on finances ever. And, men would even boast of, oh, I bought this. Even with my clients, I think they sometimes like to, for the lack of a better word, let's say, flaunt that, oh, this is, I did this little trade and I made this much money and I bought that stock. Women never do that. So I think that's the change I'm looking to make. So the initiative is Women Investors Network, and RC, the only objective is to take talks, get more women to acknowledge the fact that the society has changed. The number of single women has risen. Single unmarried women in their 40s, divorce rates have gone up. We've seen a lot more women who are even widows at a younger age. We see so many young deaths, actually. So it is not just about learning to invest. It is about being able to manage your money, just the way we manage our house. Why shouldn't women be able to manage their money? They should know. They are so clueless once the husband goes. Especially, I think women in their 50s and 60s. Last month only I met somebody. That lady is struggling. Her husband is no more, and now she's in her 60s. What is where, and wo kya hota hai, kya karna hai, and then you're at the mercy of your bank managers, and they get you sometimes into things which are not so good for you. So I think just looking to create this awareness and probably include that topic as part of discussion even in women groups, I think it would be so great.
I think this definitely is something that we all should support you. This great initiative. I think this is the need of the hour, especially in India. And I think you have all relevant points. A lot of youngsters, women who don't know how to manage their finance, right? Either they depend on their husband or their father, or if they are on their own, they have no idea. The bank manager will use up in some ULIPs or something, right?
Yeah,
I really appreciate and keep sticking to the same theme, right? Imagine a lot of housewives are listening to this particular interview. They want to get into financial planning, right? But they're afraid. They have been last in college probably in their 20s. I have no idea. Prableen is great. She's inspiration, but I don't want to learn financial planning on my own. Any advice for them? Is it really that tough to crack?
No, not at all. I think women are, we are sort of born with the, this gift of managing households and money, actually. Our mothers have done that without any formal degrees. And I think the reluctance is only created by the society around us, because I myself remember a person from bank had come over, explaining about the home loan that we'd taken. And RC, honestly, not even once he looked at me and spoke about the whole thing. How much loan will go? What is going to be the EMI? He was constantly telling my husband, because it is so considered that men understand. And my husband's profession, he's a doctor. I mean, a 4G doctor is, of course, and I'm a finance professional, but he was not at all interested in even looking at me and trying to tell or explain. So I think somewhere this hesitation is created by the way, finance and the way people deal and sort of approach the subject. And women are considered, just say, I have seen a lot of people say, oh, women parking lot mein, these, the boys who are there collecting the money, they'll say, madam, hum reverse kar dein gaadi. So I always tell them, bhaiya, agar aage ko chalani aati hai, to reverse bhi aata hi hai. So like driving, and I think money, it's like, that thing is created where that women are not good at it. And I think it's been it's a century old, or even older way of keeping, been a way of dominating as well. If you look at it, RC, the person is truly empowered only when you know how to handle your money. And men, they will outsource all other jobs. With due respect to all men out there, they're happy to outsource all jobs to wives and mothers and everybody. But I have seen very few men who are happy to outsource money management to their wives. Luckily, I have some clients where women who are housewives are actually doing the all the interactions with me with regards to their family portfolio. So that's really nice to see that change, but it's a very, very tiny percentage.
Very, very insightful. And I'm glad. I appreciate you for actually breaking that gender stereotyping that still is so relevant in India. I'm sure more power to women like you, seriously. Prableen, so outside of your profession, I know you have a household to take care of. Tell us about your interests. I know you like golfing. So what's your handicap?
Oh, no, I am at 18 only. I'm not a great player, but I'm just passionate about the game. And I do enjoy it over the weekends or whenever I get time. Though in North India, it's usually very hot in summers, but yeah, I'm okay to get tanned for golf. No issues. Other than golf, it would be to travel somewhere, RC, because I think I've kept moving all these years. The idea of being at the same place for too long is not very comforting. So I, even, from the point of view of settling, so we have these like two places where we would probably settle. We have a property at one place. So like the very thought that, okay, is this the place where I'll be forever is hard. Just a second. Sorry, my dogs. Yeah. So I think two things.
So, never settle. That's attitude.
Yeah. Once.
Yeah, sure. We don't mind seeing them if you can lift them up.
Yeah, I'll just show you. Come, Newton. Just within 1 second. Okay, so here's one from under the table.
What's his name?
He's Copper.
Nice. Oh, this is a world exclusive, my dear viewers. Though Prableen
No,
has
once.
given enough interviews, I don't think we have ever gotten to see her pets.
No, and that's the other one. That's Newton.
Oh, Newton. Oh, cute.
Yeah, Newton and copper.
Newton and copper. Very, very nice.
Yeah. So they were nice and lazy, and now they are up and fighting.
So I know they need your time now. So before I let you go, this is something that I ask all my guests. Please recommend 3 books that is top of your mind, and that's something that will be useful for my listeners.
Okay, sure. So I've got them on my table itself. So the first one is Monica Holland's Let's Talk Money, because we spoke about personal finance, RC. So I think this is a very good book for anybody out there who wants to just get the basics right. Another one is, I think, The Art of Thinking Clearly. That's another good one. So it talks about a lot of biases, I think, which have helped the human race, but are also limiting us in a lot of ways. So it's an interesting read, lots of good examples. And the third one is The Winning Way in Golf and Life.
Interesting.
So, this one is by Dr. Maurice Pickens, and he's been a coach for a lot of people who have actually won PGA tournaments. And so with little background stories that he gives, then there is an sort of a parallel that he draws to how life is. And the 4 basic R's he discusses are how you react, relax, and refocus and routine. So it's an interesting book. And finance wise, I think this is a good one. So I think this is a very popular book, so majority of the people must have read. So yeah, these are the recommendations.
Excellent. I'm definitely going to pick that book on golf and winning in life.
It's nice. It's got a lot of lovely pictures also. So I like it because it's got these beautiful courses and it's quite nice.
Prableen, it was a pleasure talking to you. And it's exciting to see women in India taking financial planning as a career. I would love to have follow-up interviews with you regularly. Thanks for taking the time out and speaking with me.
Thanks so much, RC. Pleasure being here, and thanks for allowing Newton and copper to be part of it as well.
That's the world exclusive for us. That's exclusive.
Yeah, actually, in a way. Thanks so much. Pleasure.
Thank you.